during my week, I have my life kind of planned of, hey, there's really not a lot of fun during the week. So it's
Yeah.
mostly career. But I keep my Saturday and Sunday's family day, Saturday on a fun day, whatever, try to have a good time here or there. But you have to balance it out
Yeah.
because if you don't, you'll burn out.
Yeah.
So
There's always more work to do. Welcome back to the Bombshell Business Podcast. I'm your host, Amber Erickson Hurdle. And this week we are celebrating 8 years of the Bombshell Business Podcast. And I cannot thank you enough for being just so loyal through this journey, whether you're a new listener as of like today, or you've been on the journey with me for the past 8 years, or somewhere in between. None of this would happen without you. Like, there is no such thing as media without an audience. You'd just be like screaming into the nothing abyss. But as much as I want to thank you, Bombshell and Bombshell Boy, I have to give a shout out to Jean. Jean has been with me for 4 years and she has been producing this podcast, meaning all of the technical editing and uploading it and distributing it so that you actually can hear it on your favorite podcast listening channel, if you will. I think a lot of you are on Apple Podcasts, but many of you are spread out a little bit as well. And she's just so great. And y'all, let me tell you what, sometimes I slide things in at the very last minute and she shows up. So she's editing this right now. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Jean, you know I love you. Thank you so much. And got to give a shout out to Amy. Amy is the best guest picker outer on the planet, and she sets up the guest side of things for success. So she goes through, we get I couldn't even tell you. And shout out to Christina for sorting my emails and responding to inquiries and things like that, because we get so many submissions every single week. So Amy goes through them. She decides, who would be of service to you, because that's our number one filter is this person just trying to pitch to our audience, or is this person going to deliver value to thank our audience for investing their time in us. Like, I'm super protective of you. If you've been a listener for a while, you know I say that all the time. And she communicates with the guests and sets me up for success with the topics and a one sheet and all that kind of stuff. And y'all, all I do is show up and I do the interview. That's it. Like, that's my role in the podcast now. So much has evolved in the past 8 years. I can assure you of that. But if you are a new listener, fortunately, this is the final season. So we have a handful of episodes to go, and then we're transitioning. And I hope you will follow me because we're still going to have amazing content. It's still going to be super actionable, helpful, inspiring, practical information. And you can just go follow me on YouTube. It's Amber Hurdle. Just go follow me on YouTube, or probably even better, if you'll go to amberhurdle.com/newsletter, you can sign up for my newsletter there, and don't be like, oh my God, I don't want to have to get one more email. I actually, not patting myself on the back, but we work really, really hard to serve you. And this isn't about like, buy my stuff. I mean, I might ask you to buy my stuff every once in a while because like I have stuff to buy. And if you like me, you might want to buy it. So it'd be foolish of me not to. However, it is value, value, value every single week. And I really am dogmatic about that. So we have opening rate that is like way exceeds industry standards. So I know that people are getting value of it. So I'm not trying to sell you on my newsletter, but I am trying to sell you on staying in touch with me. So just because the Bombshell Business podcast ends doesn't mean that our relationship is going to end and that you'll stop hearing from me. We just won't do it with as much lipstick and high heels. So I am super excited about that. Thank you for celebrating with me. Thank you for continuing with me on the journey, even when we close this chapter, so that we can focus on the things that like I really need to be focused on as the CEO of Employer Brand Central. Even have my branded gear on today as I'm doing this intro. But speaking of intro, I cannot wait to introduce you to Nisrine Masri. She is a fireball, super chill, but like inside a total fireball. So after graduating from the University of Texas at Arlington, Nazreen founded the moving company Condor Moving Systems with her business partner in 2003. After 20 years of running the moving business, She founded Movers Dispatch Board, a software platform for other professionals in the moving industry. Nisrine now runs these two successful businesses and has the love and support of her family for all of her endeavors. And she has reasons to come to my neck of the woods on my side of Florida. And so I'm hoping we get to hang out soon. I missed her the last time, but you're going to learn so much from her. Everything from her journey into entrepreneurship and how she's handled tough situations like sales, overcoming stereotypes, because that is definitely a male dominated industry. And then just, really talking about work-life balance and how you can really use the art of problem solving to make additional income. So the thing that I love about her, she never stopped having a personal life. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's all those things. And I think we need to hear more about that. I think we do need to constantly be talking about work cannot be your life. Like, I love work. I work a lot, like long hours, but that doesn't mean that I don't put my family and my friends and my loved ones squarely at the forefront of my life. So with that, I cannot wait for you to peek in on our conversation today. Welcome to the Bombshell Business Podcast, Nisrine.
Hello, how are you?
I am super good today because I know, I think we're fellow tech nerds. I think that we're both women who do business in male dominated industries. I think we have a lot of things to talk about. Your journey is going to be fun for our listeners. So you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So let's just get right out of the gate. You work in moving and trucking, not exactly the land of stilettos. So can you just share, how did you get into a male-dominated industry? Let's start there, and then we can grow from there in that vein.
Absolutely. So my career started back in my early 20s. I worked for a third-party logistics. We did international and domestic third-party logistics, and that kind of started my whole trucking career. I was in sales and customer service, and then eventually was getting married. And my ex-husband at the time was my husband, worked for a moving company and said, "Hey, let's start a moving company." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And so that's kind of how I fell into the moving and storage business. So we started a company together, and I handled everything internally as far as sales, customer service, claims. I handled everything that was in the office. And that was 21 years ago. So 21 years ago is kind of how I fell into it, and I never left. So it's a very, very addictive industry in a way. Kind of like when you get into it, it just kind of sucks you in again. It's a great money. Obviously, people are always moving. Besides during, downtimes of real estate, when that's kind of slows down, I think the recession, and then things have been kind of a little slow now because of with interest rates and how the market is. Right. So we've kind of had a struggling year, and a lot of movers that I've talked to have kind of felt that right now. But that's how I fell into household goods. Just kind of had some trucking experience, and then just from general freight to household goods. Had a really strong background in sales, love people, love to talk. So it was just naturally fitting for me to just kind of continue in that.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I've never considered myself a salesperson, and everybody's like, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. And I'm like, I'm not, like, I'm a problem solver. That's what I do. Like, if I don't think, I just had a sales conversation the other day, and I was like, I'm not a fit for you. I can tell you that right now. I think what you've got going is great. Let me refer you to somebody who I do think is the right fit for you. And then I don't know this other person, but I know that she's in your area and she might be a fit for you as well. But let's start over here. Like, I still solved or tried to help solve her problem. I didn't try to sell her me for the sake of selling. You know what I mean? So to walk us through, like, even that side of things, because I think a lot of female business owners hate the sales side. How do you approach sales in an industry that now you're like surrounded in a world that isn't like necessarily super cozy for women to begin with, and now you're having to sell in that industry? Like, walk us through that.
Oh, absolutely. So I kind of take the approach of very consultative selling. I don't really push people. Sometimes I'm going to be the right fit, and sometimes I won't, and that's okay. I always tell everyone when I do sell that I want them to feel comfortable with the services that I am offering and make sure that it is the right fit, whether it be for the moving or the software side of sales, I'll either be the right fit for you, I'll be the right price for you, or I won't. And if I'm not, it's totally okay. Like you have to find what fits and what works for you. I think when I can find a solution for someone and they don't feel like they're being pressured or taken advantage of or cornered, I tend to keep my sales very honest. And I think that's really important because people can feel the honesty or the vibe if you really tell them
Yeah.
straightforward exactly and paint a picture of exactly what they're going to get from you. And it is what they want, then great. If I know someone's on a really tight budget and they shouldn't have hired a mover, or with the software, it's a little bit different, then I let them know, hey, look for other options. This may not be the best solution for you. And that's okay because I never want to put someone in a situation that they can't, do their end of the obligation by paying for the services that they ask for. So consultative selling has always been my thing, and relationships. And I'm very friendly. And I think that really helps me, that I am a people person where I don't have a problem speaking to people. I don't have a problem relating. You can kind of throw me in almost any situation and I can kind of navigate my way through it.
Yeah, that is a gift for sure. So, okay, so specifically sales, that's very helpful. What have you found? Like, what challenges have you faced and how have you overcome them being a female in a male dominated industry, especially an owner?
Yes. I think on the sales side of things, it's never really been an issue. So I never have approached a client and they said, oh, well, I'll reverse back on that. On the moving side of things, I've never had an issue. I think people have always appreciated being a female and coming in to do on-site estimates or, estimates over the phone or virtual estimates. That's never really been an issue. On the operational side of things for the moving, I think that I see a lot more of the male domination and the more of the macho men and, the truckers, the drivers, the loaders, that side of it. I think that's more where you kind of see that happening more often, where you do kind of have to deal with that as a female. Especially I saw it when I was in my early 20s. I wasn't old then, so it was cute, and you would just, be approached by different truck drivers and you were discussing cubic feet and weight on shipment. I knew what I was talking about, but it was always stereotyped like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's young and she's cute. So that's automatically like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So I did get a lot of that kind of stereotype. But then eventually once I started talking and people, realized that I knew what I was talking about, it was like, oh, okay, I guess she does know what she's talking about. So on the consumer side, I've never really felt an issue with that. I've never felt like a client didn't want to do business with me for being a female. On the side, my clients are moving company owners. And a lot of the owners of moving companies, not the majority, are male. And I did come across one man who said, you're selling in a male dominated industry and you're a female. And I said, yeah, I'm selling software. So that shouldn't really be an issue. Being a woman shouldn't be. And he flat out told me that, just straight up on the phone told me that. And you're in an industry with a bunch of men and you're a woman. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it is 2024, sir. So
that's amazing that he was bold enough. So how do you handle those type of situations? Like, what's your stance, or like, how do you stand in your power during those instances?
I just kind of laugh it off in a way. I just let them talk because I'm super confident in knowing that I know what I'm doing. So yes, I'm a female and yes, I'm in a male dominated industry and that's okay. But I know what I bring to the table. And so if someone's insecurity is because I'm a female bringing some knowledge to them, that's on them. That's not on me. So I just laugh it off like, okay, no problem. It doesn't make me fold up and, cry or feel bad about myself or make me feel any, less of a person over what I'm doing on my next call or my next presentation or anything. I find it kind of challenging and really funny. It just makes me want to prove myself even more. So like,
get that dirt off your shoulder.
I'm glad I can intimidate you. So, that's kind of my approach on it.
That's me too. I mean, like, again, I work in the construction industry and whether it's the CEO or a foreman or, anywhere in between, if you just dish it right back, like just as quickly as they dish it out, if you just volley it right back to them, then they're like, oh, okay, like it, and you're done. Like that's my experience, anyways, is like, and I don't even have to be insulted or check them, or
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
like, okay, that's coming lobbing at me. I'm lobbing it right back at you. All right, let's keep going. And no fuss, no muss, right?
Yeah, well, I don't get offended by it whatsoever. It's just like, okay, if that's how you feel, that's okay. It's not, and I don't get mad and I don't show anger like, woman, no. I just kind of, okay, if that's the intelligence or the, that's the
That's where you
level
are.
that you're at, that's on you. That's not on me. So you can remain there.
Yeah, exactly. So, in my personal life, I'm a little brattier about it, because like I don't have to deal with that. But like in business, it's like, listen, this is the goal. This is what we're heading towards. Like, you're not getting in the way of my goal. I can't be bothered by you. I'm not putting energy towards that. Like, that I am on my mission. You do you. Like, wherever you are in this life, wherever you are in your journey, that's fine. I'm over here. So I think we very much vibe on that. So let's go back 21 years.
21 years.
Girl.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was 21. I was 22 years old, started a company. And let me tell you, it was a journey. It was a lot of hard work. I spent my early 20s not partying and having a great time. I spent my early 20s tussling and working hard and working 12-hour days. Kind of looking back at it today, I wish I didn't do that in a way.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm appreciative of where I am today, but I would have been nice just to kind of enjoy a little bit more of life because once you get into it, you're in it.
You're
You're in it. And so I have three children and my oldest is going to college in the fall. And I tell my like live your life for the age that you are. So if you're, 17, live as a 17-year-old. If you're 20, live as a 20-year-old. If you're a 21-year-old, it's great to be ambitious and have goals, but enjoy your college life and enjoy that part of it because once all that's over, now you're into the real world of making money, having a career, building your future, doing all that. So enjoy that little time of being young and having a great time because it ends really quick.
Man, I said that
And
to
you end
both
up
my kids.
you work longer than you do enjoying, the freedoms of, being in high school or being in college.
Yeah, I'm just like, go enjoy your 4-year party that I'm financing. Like, go enjoy it. Like, the
Yeah.
bills are coming, the leaky roof is coming, the, dispute with the neighbor and your lot line. I'm making this stuff up. This isn't something
Yeah,
I had a
absolutely.
problem
It's
with,
just
but
everyday realities. Yeah.
it's coming. Yeah. So I love that. And so what were some of those big struggles that like maybe take us to like a growth phase? So I know we all know startup is hard. Startup is hard. But what about when you elevate? What has that been like for you throughout your career?
I think the biggest struggle for most small businesses is having and building the right team. Having that is the biggest struggle for me and for years is having a team who thinks similar, maybe not exactly like you, but very similar to you because every entrepreneur is super smart. 90% of entrepreneurs are super smart. They can do a lot of things. They can multitask. They can do accounting work. They can do marketing work. They know how to do sales. They know how to do a lot of things because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be able to be diverse and be able to do a lot of things to make your company grow. But I think the biggest struggle and the biggest, thing I can tell anyone who's in a startup phase or even not in a startup phase is the biggest struggle I've always found was your team.
Yeah.
Because your team can either make or break your company. It can make or break your profits. And if you have a bad team, you will see it. It'll affect your company a lot more than you think. And so I think that's the biggest thing is that I always tell everyone in a small business is like, okay, and you can't always think that people are going to be like you because if they were like you, they would be you and they would be starting their own company. So, but you have to be really selective about your team.
Yes, definitely. So it's interesting because you started your company forever ago and then you started a second company that's more of a software company. And I have a similar thing. I mean, I've been in business for many, many, many years. And then I started Employer Brand Central to solve for that problem. It's like, because a lot of us squirrely entrepreneurs too, it's like, okay, well, let's just say we have a great team, but do we have people processes in place to ensure that they're empowered to do the things where we're not trying to, do all the things and keep up with all the things, like really being able to empower your team. Because to your point, if you want to have a good business brand, you better have a good employer brand. Because if they ain't happy, guess what? Your customers won't be either.
Absolutely. No, absolutely 100%. So it's really, your team and your internal team is so important. There's a lot of challenges that come with that too, with small business, is that being able to provide the benefits and the recruitment of people who are able to bring, benefits to your company that help you grow. Recruiting, when you're competing with recruiting for Fortune 500 companies or
That's
bigger
right.
companies who have better benefit packages than you do, that's always really hard too. So I've always felt like that has been a big struggle for small business, being able to compete in that market.
Yeah, totally. And you have to start to get really creative about, whether it, like for my team, we have a very flexible, obviously you can't do that in logistics or moving, but we can be flexible. You can tell me, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor's today, and that's totally fine with me. Like I couldn't care less, because you know what? Who's not going to do that? Those big companies that offer you a ton of benefits. So, all right. So what would you say though? Because I think we again might have similar answers on this. You started your business 21 years ago. I don't know about you, but 21 years ago, I had like a card file, like
Yes,
an index card box.
yes,
And
yes,
then that's how I called my prospects. And you
yes.
wrote on the card, and then you put it in the next day that you would follow up with them. And, they called you back, and you're like, oh, let me find where I put that file. And then that was then. It's different now, girl. What's different? What's so different about your software company than
Absolutely.
Movers
So
Dispatch Board?
it's Maver's dispatch board. Well, back in the day when you were trying to interline loads, most companies had to be van line affiliated to have the know-how to do that, or you just had contact. You looked up in the phone book and then tried to find people, which was really hard. So if it was two different companies trying to contact each other, it was, yellow pages pretty much, or
Yeah.
online you'd have to like research. Movers Dispatch Board allows that networking to happen super easy. So you can, for example, if you are interlining a load, you just post it on there, and then you can network with other moving companies straight from the platform. As far as technology goes, technology is ever changing. From the day where I was doing estimates, on an Excel sheet, I didn't even have a CRM. Now we've got so many different tools for CRMs, and contact management, and LinkedIn has been really big. So ever changing. One other big thing that I saw that wasn't big when we first started our company was online reviews. That was something that wasn't even really a big thing. And then I saw that kind of evolve, because 21 years ago, that wasn't really that really wasn't big. It was kind of almost non-existent as before
Girl, we were
Google.
dialing up to AOL. Like,
Yes. Yes. So that's definitely like, there's this technology changes as far as that goes, and then running your business. So you always have to be evolving and changing based on whatever technology is out there. Movers Dispatch Board I developed because I saw a need for the industry, and a tool that people in the moving industry could use to give them the van line feel without actually being a van line affiliate. And what I mean by van line, I probably shouldn't mention any of the big brands, but it's the big moving that are nationally known. So
yeah.
I don't want to call anyone out, because they're not really competition, but it's just brands that are out there, and I never want to put any negativity on anything. So
Sure. But what you're doing is, so just, I'm not sure if our audience understands kind of some of the terminology that you're using, but correct me if I'm wrong. What you're doing is you're saying, okay, if you're ABC moving company and you move somebody from Oklahoma to Florida, and they drop everything off at Florida, they could either go back with an empty van, which is not profitable, it's not a good use of time, it's not a good use of the space, or they can connect on your platform with movers in Florida to then fill that back up with their customers' things and do it on their behalf. Is that right?
yes,
That's like white labeling moving?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And it's kind of almost, if you want to look at it, right, labeling, contract, it's contracting basically working with a contractor who's going to haul for you. Some of them are owner operators that it's, one person who owns a semi who hauls for either the big van lines or he's hauling for independent movers. So you hire him as a contractor. So almost if in the construction world, like a 1099 contractor, pretty
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
is what it's doing. It's just putting that on the moving, in a moving business.
And so I would imagine that, another big change from 21 years ago to today is just the understanding that that's a need that can be filled by little old you, right? Because like those kind of big logistical challenges, that was done by those people. Like an average person couldn't be like, I'm going to just start a company in this unless you really had the technological, like to create software back then was a whole different situation. So what was it like to go from like this really tactical business model to now you're playing with zeros and ones and the tech side of things? Like, what was that transition for you?
I was really looking forward to it. I've always been a technology nerd. I've always relied on technology when I could for anything. So anytime I can use technology, I use it because it saves me time. It keeps me organized. It keeps things running smoothly for the most part. I watched a lot of HGTV and I kept seeing people moving to the Bahamas and I thought, what do these people do for a living? So they're in software. So that's kind of my little insider joke on that. But I developed the software. I kind of wanted to kind of transition into that field because it was something that I've always loved. I can code in certain languages. I do not code Uber's dispatch board. I have a coding team that does that for me. So I have a whole project management project team and they're on board. We're, constantly developing and I'm the architect behind all of the features and functions, all that. But the transition has been great. I kind of did it for solving a problem. I wouldn't have been able to solve this problem had I not come from the industry. So had it just been a software person sitting at their desk saying, what should I develop next? They wouldn't have really thought about it because they didn't know that the problem existed. So the solution had to come from an internal person who said, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the time and take the resources and develop this. And so that's how the whole thing came about. Is the idea came from, from someone from the industry.
Yeah, agreed. I love it. Okay. So again, it's just my definition of business is not Harvard or Dartmouth definition. It's Amber's. And it's you have a problem, I'll solve your problem, and then you give me money. That's business. And that's exactly what you did. You're like, this is a problem that hasn't been solved yet. How can I solve it? I'm a tech nerd. Let's do it. Like that's the beautiful that it's just ABC 1, 2, 3, but so many women are intimidated by that. Why? Where did you find the chutzpah to just be like, I got this? 21 years of other experience?
Yeah. So 21 years, obviously, I wasn't afraid to start something else. I have the know-how. Business doesn't scare me. Startups don't scare me. When we started the moving company, my ex-husband and I at the time, we were poor. We had no money. I basically just worked my butt off. So it wasn't like someone came in and said, here's, $500,000 or $100,000. Literally, it was just start up slow, and then grow it to what it was. So starting a business was never a fear of mine. With Movers Dispatch Board, I was a little hesitant. And I was hesitant only because time, and I'm sure you're in the same boat. It's like we don't have enough hours in the day. How many hours of a day can you work? Not the biggest challenge for me. But I think for with Movers Dispatch Board, I knew the problem existed. I wanted a solution for it. I had the knowledge to do it. There was someone in the back of my, a friend who said, hey, you've got to do this. This is just too good to let it pass. Like you really have to do this. And so that person I give credit to, which I won't mention who that is, but give credit to that person for making me, actually go through with it because I sat on it for a while, for many years. And then this person was like, you've got to do this. Like, you really need to do this. And I said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do it. I got this. And I did it.
And I just want to applaud you for saying it out loud because I know sometimes we're afraid to talk about our dreams with people. But when you get it out of your mouth and out of your mind, and now other people are aware of it and can affirm you and can support you and can encourage you, here you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we cannot do business alone. Business is a team sport. And you're such a great example of, I mean, everything from, I mean, just your whole platform's collaborative. Like that's the whole point of it. And so I would love to profile you. And I need to know your personality assessment
Yes, let's
results.
do it.
I like got things going on
I
in my
want to
brain up
hear.
here. I'm
I
like,
want to hear. I want to hear your results.
yeah, okay. Well, I will email you after we
Okay.
hang up so that you can I'm just curious. Just curious.
Okay. Sounds
Um
good.
okay. So one more question before I ask my final question. And that's we've talked a lot about not enough hours, hard work, being poor, starting a business, starting a second business, everything has changed. I mean, there's just a lot that goes into it. We don't just show up. Granted, being an employee has its own restrictions, and I've worked 70-hour work weeks. I've worked my butt off as if I own the company. So like I'm not, if you're listening and you're a W-2, no knock to that, right? But when you own the business, no one's taking it off your plate. Like you can't call in sick, you don't have vacation days. Like it's your business, it's your baby. So how have you found being a business owner and balancing that with everything else that you love about life? Family, hobbies, anything else in life?
Yeah, absolutely. So during the week, this is my schedule. I get up, get the kids off to school, go to work. I work till about 5:30, 6 o'clock. I go work out, feed my kids dinner, and then I usually get back on my computer for a couple of hours, sometimes 1 or 2 hours. And I'm usually in bed by midnight. So that's day through Thursday. Friday night, Saturday night, I make sure that I do something fun for myself because I figure I've worked so hard all week. And then Sunday night, I prep for the week, and then it's just back to back to the same thing. So usually during my week, I have my life kind of planned of, hey, there's really not a lot of fun during the week. So it's mostly career. But I keep my Saturday and Sunday's family day, Saturday kind of fun day, whatever, try to have a good time here or there. But you have to balance it out because if you don't, you'll burn out. So, but during
there's always
the week,
more work to do.
Yeah, I kind of leave it to no fun during the week. So there's no happy hours happening or anything like that. People just don't ask me for that because they know I'm not going to go. So I don't have time. So it's
similar.
cute. Like I think about it, I'm like, oh, it would be so much fun, but I don't do that. I just don't have the time. So
or the
it
energy.
would slow me down. It would just slow me down. It just gets in the way. It's not my priority. So typically, work, and that's my priority during the week. And then I've left 2 days of the week for myself. So where I'm like, okay, I don't want to be bothered with work stuff unless there's something that's like, hey, this has to be done for a deadline or a meeting that I'm meeting with someone. So you have to balance. But unfortunately, when you're a business owner, the balance always weighs more on work than fun. So when people tell me that they want their own business so they can golf all day or spend them whole day at the pool, I'm like, what business are you in? Because I want to do the same thing.
I want that business.
That doesn't really happen. It just depends, unless it's just entertaining a bunch of clients all day long, which is great. But unfortunately, my industry or what I do there's not a lot of entertaining happening. So it's a lot of desk work and a lot of office work and a lot of, thinking things through and solving problems every day.
Every day, all day. Problem solving every day, all day.
Yeah, problem solving is like the number one on the list typically.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, I think I've done the work 7 days a week and work from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Like I've done it for other people. I've done it for my own business. And I'm just at the point now, like just straight up where I love my businesses. I love them. Like they're my babies. I love my customers. I love everything. But if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, guess what? I'd have an easier life and probably have a larger margin, managing a McDonald's, to be honest.
Oh, probably.
Not really. Not really. But like, I mean, for most small businesses, if your business model isn't really refined, like it would be a whole lot easier to just go clock in somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, like, absolutely.
Why do this and not have a life? So I'm similar to you. Like usually Saturday's fun day, or I call Saturday my Sabbath. Like I don't care what's happening. I am cold chilling today. I might have an Aperol spritz with lunch. I might be on the beach. We might be kayaking with the alligators. We don't know what we're doing, but it's going to be fun and it's going to be mindless. And maybe it's a reggae festival. Maybe, who knows what it is, but we're going to go have fun. And fortunately, my Jared is like the biggest adventurer. Like, he's just like, here's what we can do. And I'm like, that sounds exciting. Fantastic. And then Sunday, kind of like you, was like, get my week together day. It's groceries. It's the house. It's
The boring
laundry.
stuff.
It's what's on my calendar for this week. What's on my
Yes.
calendar for the week after that I need to be aware of for this week. Like,
Right.
back to big girl.
Exactly. No, you listen, you have to enjoy life. Life's too short. And yes, it's great to work and it's great to be an entrepreneur and it's great to, you have to have a little bit of fun, Obviously you can't have more fun than work because then your work's going to suffer. So you have to be smart about it. So,
oh yeah.
Would it be easier to get a job somewhere else? Yeah, absolutely. Because I've always thought about what would it be like if I didn't have to worry about the accounting and the marketing and this and that and the sales and this. Gosh, that would be so nice just to only think about one thing and only just do one thing. but
I
I'm
know
wired
because I
for
take
the
over their
other.
company and I would just start running their company for them.
Exactly. That's probably, but I thought about that. It's crossed my mind. Like, it'd be kind of nice not to have to worry about everything,
Yeah.
So,
But like after this, if I want to go wherever I want to go, I can go wherever I want to go. So
absolutely.
I'll stay in this lane. You know what? So can all of my employees. So there's that. We were very like, hey, get your work done. I don't care how many hours it takes you, just get it done. And if you're going to be gone for the day, just make sure everything's taken care of and people know that you're not reachable today. And I really don't care. Like that's how I think that my team works so hard and they let no balls drop. And they also can do whatever the heck they want to do, to be quite honest. So, I know not everybody can have that flexibility because of the type of business that I have, but, find the ways to get everybody else to like where they work too, because as you mentioned, that's huge. Okay. So final question. I'm really excited to hear what your answer specifically is to this because you're a fun person. What is your parting piece of advice for a bombshell? So a bold, brave, unwaveringly confident woman who maybe she falls down, but she gets right back up. Her identity is in knowing who she is and her value.
Absolutely. I think my take on that would be never to give up. You cannot give up. So the minute that your mindset is you've given up, then you've already failed.
That's right.
There's always a way to everything.
Yeah.
There's a way to everything.
Yeah.
You just have to find the right path. So whether it is that you're trying to make a certain pitch or sale or trying to build something, never have the mindset that you can't do it, because the minute that you think that you can't, you've already failed at that.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard this before and I've always thought that this was smart, but at the same time, a little questionable. And I thought, is not to have a backup. Because if you have a backup plan, you've already given up on your initial plan. It's great to have, it's kind of debatable, but that's my biggest piece of advice is not to give up, that you can do anything that you set yourself to. You just have to really work hard for it. And sometimes it takes longer than what you think it's going to take. And learning patience is super important because there's, especially in like the development piece, business growing and the development side, I'm building a marketplace right now. So with Movers Dispatch Board, did I want it to explode overnight the minute I launched? Would I loved 1,000 users? Yeah, absolutely. But with marketplaces, they grow slowly. They don't initially just grow up. You instantly have 1,000 users with 1,000 loads. You have to build them up. So it's all being patient and waiting and building it up and not stopping. So I'm a year into it with 325 users. I've got to be really and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then eventually it'll get to the point where I'm still going to be pushing, but maybe won't push it as hard.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
not to give up and never to think that you can't do something, because the minute you think you can't do it, it's over. Yeah.
Stop asking, can I do it? And start asking, how can I do it?
Absolutely. And surround yourself with other business owners, if it's female business owners, if that's what Joe is, or other male business owners, whatever it is, but surround yourself with people that you aspire to be like. So if you're wanting to be a great, successful business person, have kind of a mentor or someone you kind of look up to, or someone that you look up to and kind of learn their ways, whether it be if you're watching podcasts or reels or someone that you know.
Yeah.
So that's super important. Kind of get tips from them and how they did things. So learn from other people.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. You've been such a treat. So Bombshell, you've got to follow her. So you can go to like the link tree. It's the linktr.ee/movers dispatch board. And you can find her there. And then you can find her on LinkedIn. All of this will be in the show notes. So go to amberhurdle.com/podcasts with an S at the end, podcasts with an S. And you could also go to Condor Moving Systems. I love a Condor. Find her on LinkedIn. And did I miss anything else? Any other way to get a hold of you or to find you on the interwebs?
No, that's it. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on pretty much all the social media. But if you're wanting to connect with me directly, just go to LinkedIn. I think that's the best and easiest way. Both companies are tied to my profile, and feel free to message me. I always respond to everybody. So
I love
reach
it.
out to me. Be more than happy. Someone needs advice for anything, reach out. I'm always available.
Right there, we have see, this is our community is not about like getting on a Facebook group and like, hashtag whatever. Like that's not that, we're all too busy for that. But what I love, and you're so generous to offer this, is my ask for you, Bombshell, is to take this episode and share it with somebody. Share it with somebody who can use this light, because I mean, we have a ray of sunshine on the podcast today, and just even her positivity and how she talks about the struggles could really light somebody else's soul on fire and remind them to not give up. So that's your assignment. And then look at the generous offer. Like, she's not our first podcast guest to be like, hey, if you have a question about business, shoot me a direct message on LinkedIn. That's generous, y'all. This is like, most people don't have time to, get through their own day, and she's offering that. That's what the Bombshell community is all about.
It's free. I don't want any money. So it can help someone. I've had people reach out and say, hey, how do I do this? I'm like, if I can give you the resource to be successful, absolutely will help out. So
I love it.
I love to see other people succeed.
Yeah. Well, Nisrine, you've been quite a delight. I love that I've gotten a chance to meet you. I wish you the best of luck with both businesses. And as I'm working on my second one, I'll be holding space for you as well, because it's a different game
for you.
That's right. And I will cheers my Aperol Spritz to you on a Saturday in the middle of the day while we're enjoying our time off.
Sounds good.
All right, Bombshell, you know what to do. Leave a rating and review if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're one of the 5 people who watch this on YouTube, then like it, comment. That will help us out, help other people put their eyeballs on it. But I know most of you listen to this on Apple Podcast. So share, and I will see you on the next episode.